Welcome to the CSA 365 kitchen. Today we are making baked eggs with spinach and tomato and sweet potato hash. So we're going to start with a medium heat skillet, drizzle in a little bit of olive oil, or you can use fresh butter, and follow with a little bit of minced garlic. The onions that you see on the cutting board are going to be for later, so don't get too excited now, they're coming. So we stir the minced garlic for a few minutes and let it start to get golden before adding in our lovely freshly diced tomatoes. Here they come. Yes, the onions are still there on the cutting board, don't panic, we will get to those, I promise. We stir the tomatoes up until they start to cook down a little bit, and this part isn't actually on the blog recipe, but I added a little bit of fresh cream because hey, why not? It's totally optional, but it's an option I choose to take because I'm living on the edge. So anyway, after that, things start to cook down for a few and your cream starts to reduce if you're using it, and then you're going to toss in some fresh baby spinach, a couple generous handfuls worth. Arugula works too, other greens. You can totally play with your veggie combination, which is what makes this such a great CSA recipe. If you have any share box like veggies that are hiding in the back of your fridge or getting lonely on your counter, think to yourself, hey, would these veggies be happier snuggling against maybe an egg and a warm and toasty ramekin? Because the answer is probably yes, so get to it, get creative. Anyway, we continue to stir the mixture for a couple of minutes until the greens really start to wilt and everything's really starting to get cooked down. And then we're going to bring in our buttered ramekins. And we scoop up the mixture, dividing it evenly among the ramekins. And you want to be sure to hollow out a little well in the veggies in each of your ramekins too for some goodness, like mozzarella cheese. Of course, your egg, which you're then going to kind of want to nestle in there between the veggies. And then you can toss some Parmesan on top, and these things are going to be good to go. You're going to set them aside for a minute, and then we're going to get right to our hash, get our hash ready for the oven. Okay, so for our hash, we're going to be using the same skillet that we used before, heated up before we add our Amish roll butter, which we're going to swirl nicely around the pan. We want to get it nice and bubbly, but we want to be careful also not to brown it. We're going to bring in our minced garlic from the farm, and also, here we go, drum roll please. There they go, the onions, finally. So good times. We want to make sure that we scrape every little onion off the cutting board there. Let no veggie go unloved, right? So we're going to just saute that for a little bit in the butter and make sure that the onions end up translucent. The garlic should be golden. And then we're going to remove that from the pan and add in some of our Springdale breakfast sausage. Now the casings are removed here, but you can't really tell. They're holding their shape pretty well. So we're going to be doing a little bit of chopping along the way to kind of break it up, so we want it nice and crumbly and browned by the time we're ready to mix in the rest of our ingredients. So this is obviously a time lapse. It takes a little bit of time for the sausage to brown up, but you'll be able to tell when you want to kind of get it till there's no longer visible pink in your crumbles, and at that point you'll be ready for the next step, which is usually to drain your fat from the pan. But as you can see, this is a pretty lean sausage, so we don't have a whole lot of fat to drain. I didn't put as much olive oil on the sweet potato cubes as the recipe called for. Instead, I substituted some of that sausage fat that was available in the pan just to get some of that extra flavor right in there. So you stir these babies up until everything is well incorporated, and then it's ready for the oven. If your skillet is oven proof, you can toss the whole thing in as is, but note that if you want a crispier rendition, you might want to switch the mixture to something that can achieve a single layer, like a rimmed cookie sheet. If you don't mind some crispy and some soggy sweet potatoes, then the skillet is just fine. Either way works. This goes in the oven at 425 for about 30 minutes. Make sure you toss them around a bit along the way to avoid sticking or burning, and at about 10 minutes in, you can add your ramekins to the top rack and keep checking them until the whites are just set. They'll continue to cook, and once you take them out of the oven, if all goes well, the eggs and the hash will be ready at about the same time. Serve the egg in the ramekin, or you can invert it, sprinkle some yummy garnish on top, such as crumbled bacon, and enjoy. Thanks for watching.